Hey, what's up? My name is Chris, and welcome to Coding in Public. Today I've got something a little bit different for you. I'm going to show you how I track my time for clients with something called Raycast and Toggl Track. Now, Raycast is Mac only. Toggl Track isn't, so you can stick around just to see how that works. But what I'm going to show you, the integration really is for a Mac. So you're welcome to stick around even if you've got a Windows. I think you'll learn something that you can apply on your side of stuff. And Toggl itself has an app that isn't as fancy as what I'm about to do, but it works just the same and is really helpful for tracking time for clients. Now, even if you don't actually bill people for billable hours, even if you're just billing out a project and then delivering on it, it's helpful for you to know how long it takes you so that you know basically if you're making money or if it's costing you a lot more time than you thought it would. So I track stuff whether I'm billing by the hour or not because I want to know how long stuff takes me. So let me show you how it works and then I'll show you how to get it set up. All I'm going to do is hit my little keyboard shortcut for Raycast, and then I'm going to add something like awesome client timer. And you see, as I do this, I'm actually getting a little prompt here, and I can just hit the return key, and it's going to start a timer for me on Toggl. It's hitting the API and actually starting this service that is tracking for every second I'm talking right now. I can come in here then and just say stop timer, and it will stop that timer and tell me I've worked for 12 seconds. And then if I go online, it'll actually allow me to download that as a PDF, send it to the client, see each individual item, what I tracked, what description I added to it. And so it's really helpful if you're trying to track multiple clients or just get a better sense of how you're using your time when it comes to web development or frankly, anything else. All right, let's jump in and I'll show you how to get it set up. All right, I've got a link to this GitHub in the description, so you can go ahead and pull this up. I'm just going to walk you through it in video format. I do have a README that hopefully is self-explanatory, but I don't know. I think oftentimes it helps just to have somebody quickly walk through the steps in video form, so that's what I'm doing now. Now you do need a few dependencies installed here. You need Raycast, first of all, and again, this is this Spotlight alternative. It's kind of like Alfred or something like that, but you can customize it and write just normal scripts and then point Raycast to them, and those become extensions in Raycast, which is pretty cool. You also are going to need NodeJS. If you don't have NodeJS yet, go to nodejs.org. Just click here and use the normal installation instructions on your machine, and it should install no problem. And then finally, you do need a Toggl Track account here. And you can just go to Toggl and then create, they've got a few different products, but you just want to create an account for Track and then open it up. And I'll show you how to get started with this in a second. So with those three dependencies out of the way, let's go ahead and kind of work through the steps. First of all, you need to clone or download the directory here. And that's what I've done here. And I've just pulled it up in a code editor. With this local terminal pulled up, then I'm going to run npm install like this. So I'll just come over here and do npm install, and it should install all the dependencies I need. Now I've gone ahead and add a .getignore file here that'll make sure to ignore this if you, for some reason, upload this somewhere. Next, you need to create a .env file. Now this is where you're going to store your API key, and by storing it in here, it's a little bit more secure. And also, again, I've added this to the .getignore so that it won't be sent up to any kind of repository if you put this up somewhere. Let me go ahead and open this up because what we're going to do is we're going to basically add our API token just like this. I'm going to copy this in, and what we need to do is grab our API token from Toggl. So I'm going to come over to my Toggl tab here. If you click your little avatar and then go to your profile settings and scroll all the way down, you're going to see this API token section. And then go ahead and click to reveal, and don't worry, I'm going to clear this, so don't try to track time on my behalf. I'm going to reset it in a second here, but you're just going to copy this out and replace this section of the API token in the .env file. Now let me save that and close this down, and basically all the scripts are going to use that API key when they're trying to call Toggl. All right, let me jump back over here then to the README, and let's just keep working. Now, each of your clients that you set up in Toggl to track, you are going to have a separate file for. And I just have a sample one here called google.js. Google.js, if I pull this up here, has a bunch of metadata at top, which is what Raycast uses to populate certain functionality or images, things like that. And then down below will be the actual text itself that's part of the script. Now, as you can see here, I've got a start timer.js script that's actually doing all the magic, all the work. And again, it's using your .env file and all that kind of stuff. I've also got a stop timer that'll be the same no matter who uses it. And so you don't need to do anything with that. The only thing you need to worry about now that you've got your .env file is this google.js. You can duplicate this and create multiple ones, and you're just going to change each of the features like I'm going to show you here in a second. So as you can see here, you can rename the file if you want. Let's go ahead and rename this and call it like awesome client.js, something like that. And then each of these little sections up top here, this metadata, as it's saying here, basically tells Toggl or tells Raycast how to interpret this JavaScript file. So what I'm going to do here is come here and rename this, and I'll just rename this awesome client timer. All right, and then let me copy this down, and I'll do start awesome client timer down here. And then there's a couple other parameters here that are optional. So for instance, I have an icon here, and you can either have local files, and to have a local file, I would just say icons, because that's my icons folder here, and then like /toggle.png, something like that. Or you can actually add web addresses like this, like I have to Google's product imagery. I'm just going to add in my Twitter handle picture, my profile picture for Coding in Public. So you'll see it here in just a moment. Now the rest of this metadata here, what it's doing is it's saying, hey, this is going to accept a type of text, and then we're going to have a placeholder that will say description, and then that will be optional. So you don't have to add the description. If you don't want to, you can just start the timer. So that's what this whole argument is saying, and that's what it's passing in down here. Now, the only other things you need to change, aside from the icon, if you want that, and then some kind of name, you need to actually update the project ID and the project name. Those projects are things you're going to set up in Toggl. So if I jump back over to Toggl here, you'll see that I can set up clients, I can set up projects. So let me just come into projects here, and I'm going to click new project. And I might just say like web dev or something like that. And it will be for the client that I'm going to create, and I'm going to call him awesome client. And I'll hit add here, and that creates it. Now you'll notice I actually have a client called awesome client, and this is saying start awesome client timer. I should probably say something like start web dev timer for awesome client, something like that, because it's actually starting the project timer for this specific project. You can do it however you want, but I'll go ahead and create it like this, and then I'm going to open this up right here. Now, when I come in here, it doesn't have anything tracked yet, but what I can do is I can see up top here a couple of items. Now, the one I'm going to want is this project ID right here. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to replace Google here with that. And then I'll call this like web dev because that's the name of the project, and save it there. Now, with all this in place, I can now track time with Raycast. Next, you're going to open up Raycast itself. Now, you can use whatever hotkey you've set for this. I think by default, it's like option space, something like that. And then we're going to go to the preferences. So if you hit Command, comma, that will take you to the preferences, just like any Mac app. And you'll see here, I've got mine mapped to command space, just replacing Spotlight altogether. Then you're going to jump over to the Extensions tab, and in here is where you can connect to different services. But importantly, if you scroll all the way down, you're going to have a Script Commands section. And here, you're going to click Add Directories. And I'll navigate to the folder that I've been working in, that directory, and just select it like this. And when I click Open here, it's going to go ahead and look and see whatever scripts I have in there. And you'll see there's my awesome client timer script and my stop timer. Both of those, this one's default, just comes down when you download that repository. This one here is what you're going to set up, which we just did. Now you can record a hotkey for it if you want to. You can add an alias if you want to, or you can just type awesome client timer. So let me show you how it works now. Let me close this down, and now I can just type awesome client, and you see automatically it's already selecting it. And it gives me this optional description field like we mentioned a moment ago, which is an optional argument. So if I just hit enter right now, it'll start that timer automatically. So let me go ahead and do that, and you'll see it runs the script and it says, hey, your web dev timer has been started. So now I know that Toggl is tracking my time for this client. Now when I want to be done, I'm just going to say stop timer. And in this one, there's no optional parameters or anything like that. It's just going to look at whatever timers you have going and stop them. So if I hit stop, it's going to actually stop and tell me how many seconds I've worked. Now I can go again here and say awesome client timer. And here I'm going to say like, I don't know, coding homepage, something like that. And then I'll hit that, and it's going to start it and keep that description for me in Toggl. And again, I can come in here and stop the timer, and it will track it and tell me how many seconds it's taken, or in this case, just 5, that I've been working. Now, if I jump over to Toggl and I refresh the page here, I'm going to actually see that it's tracked that time for me. Sure enough, it's tracked a whole 24 seconds for me, which is what we did through that Toggl extension. Now, at the end of the month, what you can do is you can jump over here to the Reports tab, and you can actually look at what you've done for the whole month. In this place, I've got it for this week, but I could set it for this month like this, and it'll show you everything you've done for all your different clients. And then you can export these however you want. But notice if I expand this here, it shows here that one of them didn't have a description and the other one does, and it's that coding homepage. That's the one I added the second time. So you can keep track of specific things like that, and then when you're done here, you can just export it like this, and it'll actually export it either as a PDF or a CSV or an Excel file. And if you do it like a PDF here, it's actually styled, if I remember correctly. Let me pull this up. So yeah, it actually styles it, gives you little charts and graphs, and you can just send this to somebody if you're billing them. You may want to do some more customization, but that's up to you. All right, well, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was a help to you, especially if you've got multiple clients that you're trying to track or multiple projects for a specific client. For me, this is a big help, and it means that I can just get on with work. And once I've set up the timer, I never have to touch it again. And again, setting up the timer is as easy as changing a couple names, an image, the project name, and adding the ID, and that's it. And then once Raycast is pointed to this directory, any new clients you add will automatically be available to you in Raycast. Well, I hope that was a help. Thanks again for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Happy coding.